In January 2026, a factory quietly opened in Shanghai. No oil wells, no drilling rigs, no tankers in the harbour. Just machines, pulling carbon dioxide out of the sky, splitting hydrogen from water using solar power and combining them into jet fuel, the exact same fuel that goes into aircraft engines. Chemically identical, completely indistinguishable. The engines can't tell the difference. And that factory? That's just one of 6 breakthroughs China is running simultaneously right now. Not prototypes, not university experiment. 6 operational technologies, each solving a different piece of the same enormous puzzle. By the end of this video, you'll understand what that puzzle is, why solving it reshapes global power in ways almost nobody is talking about, and why the world 10 years from now looks nothing like the one we live in today. China is the second largest economy on Earth. Its factories produce a staggering share of everything the world buys. Its cities grew faster than almost any in history. And all of that growth, every factory, every ship, every plane, ran on energy China does not control. More than 70% of China's oil comes from other countries, the Middle East, Africa, Russia. But the real problem isn't where the oil comes from, it's how it travels. Every barrel has to move by tanker across the ocean. And almost every one of those tankers passes through a single stretch of water, a narrow corridor between Malaysia and Indonesia called the Strait of Malacca. At its tightest point, it is less than 3 kilometers wide. Not a shipping lane, a keyhole. On any given day, roughly a quarter of all oil trade on the planet squeezes through that keyhole. For China, the concentration is even higher. If that passage gets blocked by conflict, by accident, or by someone simply deciding to close it, Chinese factories don't slow down, they stop immediately. Military planners have a name for this, the Malacca Dilemma. China has spent decades trying to work around it. Pipelines across Central Asia, deep water ports in Pakistan and Myanmar, emergency oil reserves stored underground. But all of those are patches on the same wound. The oil still has to cross an ocean first. What actually solves this isn't a bigger pipeline. It's energy that never needs to move at all, made exactly where it's needed, from things that are already everywhere. That's the puzzle. Now here's how China is solving it. The company is called Carbonology. It opened in the Lingang district of Shanghai in early 2026. Here's how it works. A machine pulls carbon dioxide directly out of the atmosphere. The same gas scientists have been warning about for decades. Instead of releasing more of it, the facility captures it in large quantities and puts it to work. At the same time, solar panels power a process that splits ordinary water into 2 elements, oxygen, which gets released, and hydrogen, which is the valuable part. Take the captured CO2. Combine it with that hydrogen. Under the right conditions, those molecules rearrange into something new, a liquid fuel with the exact same chemical structure as refined crude oil. Airlines have already signed contracts for this fuel. The European Union passed a law requiring that 2% of all aviation fuel come from sustainable sources right now, climbing to 70% by 2050. Guaranteed buyers existed before the product was fully ready. That almost never happens in energy. Carbonology started at 100 tons per year. The roadmap goes to 1,000 tons, then 5,000, then a full commercial facility targeting 100,000 tons a year by 2027. Sequoia China and the Yellow River Delta Investment Fund have already committed serious capital. When investors who have seen every energy pitch on the planet start writing checks, it usually means the numbers held up under scrutiny. The biggest weakness of solar and wind has always been timing. The sun doesn't shine at night. The wind doesn't always blow when you need it. Most people assume the answer is batteries. And batteries do work. The largest lithium battery installations in the world can hold enough power for about 4 to 5 hours of output. That sounds fine until you think about an industrial city running through a cloudy winter week. In the Gobi Desert, China turned on a different kind of storage system in late 2025. And the concept sounds almost absurd until you see the output. They freeze air. Take ordinary air. Cool it to minus 194 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, it stops being a gas and becomes a liquid. You pour it into tanks where it sits, patiently holding every joule of energy that went into cooling it. When you need electricity, you let the liquid air warm back up. As it does, it expands 750 times its liquid volume. That expansion drives turbines. Turbines spin generators. Power flows back to the grid. The facility in the Gobi runs alongside a 250 megawatt solar farm. During the day, excess solar power makes liquid air instead of being wasted. At night, that stored air runs continuously for 10 straight hours. 10 hours, more than double what the largest lithium battery installations in the world deliver. No lithium, no cobalt, no rare earth minerals, just air and industrial equipment. There is a molecule almost nobody thinks of as a fuel, ammonia. You probably know it from cleaning products. But ammonia may be one of the most strategically important molecules on the planet right now. Here's why. Hydrogen is an incredibly clean fuel. The only byproduct when you burn it is water. But hydrogen is a nightmare to transport. It's the lightest element in the universe, which means compressing and cooling it enough to move across oceans is prohibitively expensive. Ammonia solves that. You can lock hydrogen inside ammonia molecules, ship it across an ocean like any other liquid fuel, and pull the hydrogen back out at the destination. Ammonia is essentially a vessel, a container for clean energy that travels from where it's made to where it's needed. Traditionally, producing ammonia requires enormous heat, crushing pressure, and massive amounts of natural gas. The process feeds roughly half the world's population through fertilizer, and it has always been dirty. In Shanghai province, that changed. There is now a solar-powered ammonia plant operating at 100-ton scale. It runs at room temperature. No natural gas, no fossil fuels, just nitrogen pulled from the air and hydrogen made from water using solar power. The plant has operated continuously for over 1,200 hours with over 90% efficiency. Japan and South Korea are already testing ammonia-powered cargo vessels in real ocean conditions. Shipping moves about 90% of everything traded globally. If the industry shifts to ammonia as its primary fuel, the oil that currently powers those ships doesn't just become cheaper to compete with, it becomes optional. Step back and look at the full picture. Synthetic jet fuel from air and water, grid-scale energy storage from frozen air, clean ammonia from sunlight. 3 separate breakthroughs, 3 entirely different technologies, but pull any one of them, and you feel the same center pulling back. Every single one of these technologies runs on hydrogen. Synthetic fuel needs hydrogen to turn captured CO2 into liquid fuel. Liquid air storage works best paired with clean electricity, and hydrogen is increasingly the cleanest way to generate it at scale. Solar ammonia needs hydrogen as its primary ingredient. Hydrogen is not just a fuel in this system. It is the common currency that makes the entire clean energy economy function. Which means the real question is, how much hydrogen can China actually produce? In 2019, China's green hydrogen production was around 23,000 tons per year. By 2024, that number had climbed to 125,000 tons. Nearly a 6-fold increase in 5 years, and the pace is still accelerating. The province of Guangdong alone is building an offshore wind farm designed to power electrolyzers, the machines that split water into hydrogen, targeting 80,000 tons of green hydrogen per year. One province, one project. China now manufactures 65% of all the electrolyzers installed on Earth. The electrolyzer is the key piece of hardware in this entire system, the device that converts electricity and water into hydrogen. If you control the production of that machine at global scale, you control the pace of the transition for yourself and for everyone you sell to. Beijing has made its position official. Hydrogen is now written into Chinese national energy law with the same legal status as oil and gas. The government has set a target price below 25 yuan per kilogram by 2030 and committed 33 billion yuan in direct investment to get there. Meanwhile, China's largest oil refining company saw profits drop 37% in 2025, not because demand collapsed, but because alternatives are beginning to compete. Their response wasn't to resist. They converted. Nearly 789 million yuan committed to retool an existing gasoline and diesel production unit into a sustainable aviation fuel plant. A company built entirely on oil, choosing to rebuild itself around something else. While still operating, that's not a warning sign about the future. That is the future arriving early. Chinese labs have engineered bacteria that turn carbon dioxide and sunlight directly into industrial chemicals, a process called artificial photosynthesis. Right now, this is a curiosity, a proof of concept, but pair it with an unlimited supply of clean electricity and it becomes something else entirely, a manufacturing foundation, a way to produce chemicals, materials and fuels from air and light alone. Every technology in this video still depends on one outside input. Solar panels need sunlight, wind turbines need wind. Even the best storage systems are compensating for a fundamental reality. Energy supply is not constant. You can store it, stretch it, and smooth it out, but you are still chasing it. That is the last unsolved problem. Constant, on-demand, unlimited power, available 24 hours a day regardless of weather, season, or geography. There is only one technology in human history that could theoretically provide that: fusion energy. The same process that powers the sun. In fusion, two light atoms are forced together at extreme temperatures. When they fuse, they release an enormous burst of energy. No carbon dioxide, no long-lived radioactive waste, no fuel source that can be blocked at a straight or bought at a premium. The fuel is hydrogen, and hydrogen comes from water, which covers 70% of this planet. China's primary fusion research device is called EST, the Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak. In 2026, it crossed a significant threshold, sustaining a plasma at the conditions required for fusion longer than any previous attempt, pushing past what researchers call the Greenwald limit for plasma stability. This is not a finished product. Fusion energy is still years away from commercial use. But China is investing at a scale very few countries are matching. And here's why that matters in the context of everything else. Every technology in this video becomes dramatically more powerful with an unlimited supply of clean electricity underneath it. Synthetic fuel production scales to whatever size you need. Hydrogen output becomes essentially limitless. Liquid air storage becomes the backbone of a global grid that never runs short. Each technology on its own is impressive. Taken together, with fusion as the power source underneath all of it, they form something that has never existed in human history. A complete closed-loop energy system. You put in air, water, and electricity. You get out fuel, chemicals, fertilizer, and stored power. Nothing extracted from the ground. Nothing shipped across oceans. Nothing dependent on geology. For more than a century, global power meant controlling oil reserves, or controlling the shipping routes those reserves traveled through. The Strait of Malacca, the Persian Gulf, the pipelines of Central Asia, all of those were leverage points because energy had to come from somewhere specific and travel somewhere else. That geography was power. But if energy can be manufactured exactly where it is needed, from ingredients that are literally everywhere, then geography stops being power. The reserves stop being leverage, the choke points stop being strategic, and whoever builds and sells the machines that make energy becomes the one with influence, not whoever sits on top of a deposit. China is not building these technologies only for itself. It already manufactures 65% of the world's solar panels. It dominates electrolyzer production. It is exporting the infrastructure of the new energy system, the same way oil-producing nations once exported barrels. The product is different. The logic is identical. Over 1 billion gallons of new renewable fuel capacity is already moving into Chinese production pipelines this year. Entire refineries are being rebuilt around synthetic inputs. These are not projections. This construction is happening now. The world that ran on oil did not announce its own ending. It just started losing ground. One facility at a time, one technology at a time, one country building the machines while everyone else was still debating whether the transition was real. 6 technologies, one puzzle. And a country that has decided, at the level of national law and national investment, that the answer to energy insecurity is not to secure more oil. It's to stop needing it. If this gives you something to think about that you hadn't considered before, subscribe and turn on notifications. And here's the question for the comments. If energy can truly be made anywhere from air and water, which country do you think is the least prepared for that shift? Drop your answer below.